So this weekend, we had a fun thing happen in our family where some of you know Adam, my son, he and his wife are expecting. So yes, thank you, very cool, yeah, go figure. So they had a baby shower, and it was fun, and they had the family there, and that was all cool. Well, one of the things that I do when and those of you that know that I started this whole recording thing and this whole video thing because of children and grandchildren, and I figure someday, occasionally I have something that's important to say and something that has value, and I wanted to send it down the generations because, I can talk to you and I can share things with you, and it's great, and hopefully I'm affecting lives and touching lives and moving people along, because that's what I want to do. But my children and my grandchildren don't see it and don't hear it. So I started audio taping these years ago, and then moving into the digital world, and then moving into the video world. So every time that we have a grandchild, I want to update and upgrade what I want them to know, what I want them to hear. So I thought, well, okay, so what I'm going to do today is I wrote all that down, I upgraded it, I updated it a little bit, and I thought, well, I would share it with you because these are things that I want my kids and my grandkids to know, and maybe these are things that might be interesting to you to help you guys grow your business, and maybe these are things that you could share with your families and your children and grandchildren. So I think there's some business thoughts in here, so let's just take a few minutes and let's walk through this, okay? So the first thought I wrote down here, now think about what I'm doing, is I'm talking to my grandchildren, okay? And if you want to listen in, that's great, all right? The conversation is to them. I wrote down here, always be working to grow to your maximum potential. Always be working to grow to your maximum potential. If you want, I'll give you these notes when you're done so you don't have to, you're sitting there doing, I'll give you the notes if you want them. I wrote down here, another thought is growth is change. If we don't grow, we're really not living. If you're not growing, you're really not living. But I wrote down here, growth is also a choice. Growth is also a choice. You can choose to grow, or you can choose not to grow. Kids, you can choose to read a book, or you can choose not to read a book. You can choose to sit and watch television, or you can choose to watch and play a game with the family. It's about growth. It's about change. I wrote down here, those who do not grow will not reach their potential. Those who are not growing will not reach their potential. So I'm saying to you children, choose a life of growth. I say that to each and every one of you. I tell that to you every week. We need to choose a life of growth. The only way to improve the quality of your life is to improve yourself. Physically, mentally, spiritually, with your family. Choose that life, okay? And then I wrote down here, this is an interesting thought. The only thing you can improve is yourself. I can't improve you. I could share these thoughts with you, and hopefully you might take some of them and do something with them. But the only thing you can improve is yourself. I try to work on improving myself. If you'll notice, I'm not doing as much hand gestures anymore, right? I don't know if you noticed that or not. Okay? Because to communicate at a higher level, I was getting people that were saying to me, as an example, hey, lighten it up with the hands because you're distracting. I'm trying to get this message across, and my hands are going a mile a minute, and they're watching my hands, not listening to the message. Interesting, huh? So when you're trying to get your point across to your children, to your sellers, to your buyers? What's going on that they may be seeing or hearing that is distracting, or maybe some background noise to the message you're trying to communicate? Interesting, huh? I wrote down here, start growing today. Start growing today. And the children I'll be talking to are growing every day, every week, every month. And maybe in their 20s and 30s and 40s, and we all fall off the track. But we can all get back on and start growing again today. I wrote down here, growth is not automatic. We think sometimes that growth is automatic. I'm 20 years old, and when I'm 30, I'll have grown. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Growth is not automatic. Grow today to help you provide for a better tomorrow. And I wrote down here, this was big, growth is your responsibility. Growth is your responsibility. The next thing I wrote down here is be teachable. Be teachable. The more you learn, the more you know what you don't know. Does that happen? Yeah. The more you learn. We were talking just this morning in the Scripts and Dialogues class. And some of us are really focused on the fact that we're doing our calls over the phone, right? Say yes. Yes. We're doing the phone calls. But some of us are actually listening to some of the things that I'm saying, and they're actually going to the door and they're knocking on the door. But we're not practicing knocking on the door. We're practicing smiling over the phone. We're practicing our energy over the phone. But when you get to the door, if you've got this scowl on your face and you're thinking about what to say, well, when you think, how does it usually react to your face? You go like this, right? So the client is not getting this great smile. They're not getting your great personality. They're getting this scowl on your face. And we need to be able to work and communicate that. So I wrote down here, we need to focus on self-development, not self-fulfillment. Focus on self-development, not self-development. Never stay satisfied with current accomplishments. Write that down. Never be satisfied with current accomplishments. Successful people don't rest on their tush. They don't. Successful people don't do that. They work on learning and going and growing to the next level. If you are a hiker, and which is something I just started doing recently, which is a lot of work. Ugh. There are hills out there. But you read it and it says it's moderate. Or you read it and they say it's easy, and then it's moderate, and then it's more difficult, right? Well, that's by whose definition? Because it seems like they have such quite an elevation, and you're schlepping up there, and you walk at a decent incline for a mile. You've done a lot. So you need to work on that self-growth. But you go out the first Saturday we went out, and we got through it. It was pretty exhausting. The next week, same effort, same hill, a little easier. The next week, same effort, same hill, a little easier. By the fourth week, it was like, this isn't that bad. Got it? But you have to continue at it. You have to work on it. I wrote down here, never stay satisfied with current accomplishments. Successful people don't rest on their laurels. They know how to keep growing if they want to continue to be successful. You should never be complacent. Instead, move to greater growth. So now, I go this way on the hill. Next week, this next Saturday, I go the other way. That way's a bitch. Okay? This way, we kind of got. Okay? It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's a decent hill. But going the other way, the incline is much worse. Okay? It'll be the same distance, but the way we get there. So we have to kind of ratchet it up a little bit. Okay? Never be complacent. Instead, move to greater growth. I wrote down here, be a continual learner. I mean, would that be important to pass on to your children, yes or no? Absolutely. You should carve out time continually to learn new things. You must keep improving yourself to build on what you learned yesterday. We worked on the scripts and dialogues. We work on our scripts. We know what to say and how to say it on the phone. Yet the phone is only giving us this amount of success. If we want the rest of the success, we've got to learn to do it at the door. To learn to do it at the door is going to take the same script delivered in person, which creates the necessity for a few different skills. First of all, if you're not smiling at the door and the client is right in front of you, that first 2 or 3 seconds when you've got that first impression, it's a big difference, isn't it, right? Okay? If you've been calling for a couple hours and you're warm and it's hot, etc., they don't really see you over the phone as long as you've got what sounds like a smile on your face and the energy and bouncing your step. But if you've been door knocking for 2.5 hours and it's 75, 80 degrees outside and there's a few hills, etc., some of the guys and gals, your hair fell a little bit, you got a little bit of sweat off your brow. Maybe like me, you got an extra few pounds and it's like, oh, geez. Your coat is a mess. If you're wearing a coat, if you're not wearing a coat and you made a mistake and you're not wearing a white shirt and you've got a dark shirt, maybe you've got some stains there and you didn't think about it, you look pretty crummy. That's not a great first impression. But you have to work toward that because at the end of the day, it's my belief that sometimes at the door, you're going to get some better results. And we need to change it up today, right? Yes. Okay? Got it. I wrote down here, develop a plan for growth. You should develop a specific plan for growth. Set an hour a day, 5 days a week. An hour a day to do some growing. Just an hour every day, 5 days a week to work on your growth, whether it's your scripts and dialogues, whether it's writing scripts, whether it's reading. Work on yourself a little bit each day. And I wrote down here, for us, for my grandchildren, and for my children, we need to pay the price. We need to pay the price. We need to know that there is a price to pay. The return is phenomenal. We are in the most amazing business for not a lot of investment, financial investment. The return on our investment can be spectacular. Hundreds of thousands. We had an event the other night, something we do annually for our Centurion agents. We had 36 or 37 Centurion agents at this event, so it's almost 75 people, spouses, etc., at this event. And these were agents that earned a minimum of $225,000 all the way up to $1.5 million, okay, from our company, our organization. And these are people that you can hang around with, that you can talk to, that are using the systems, that are working on what's going on, how to do what they're doing. We need to set some time for growth and be with people like that. Imagine 1 hour a day, 5 days a week to work on building and growing your business. What would be possible with something like that? I wrote down here, we were talking about paying the price. Self-development requires self-discipline. It can cost you time and effort. Very important, this thought. You cannot buy success with laziness. You cannot buy success with laziness. There are no successful people who are lazy. Okay? You look at every successful person that you and I would say is a success. None of them would be considered lazy. Will you agree or disagree? Agree. None of them. You cannot buy success with laziness. There's no magic pill here. There's no shortcut. You just have to decide what it is you want to do and then follow that path. And the success and the rewards will be you. In real estate, it's staggering. People without educations, without formal educations, are making a fortune in this business. People with formal educations, but chose to go in a different career, are making a fortune. Some of the people at our event the other night make more, that have little or no education, are earning between $400,000 and $1 million a year, $1.5 million a year, and make more than most doctors and lawyers who take, doctors are what? How many years of college? 10 years of college? Lawyers, 7, 8 years of college, depends on the degree, what you're looking at. Pretty amazing. Think about that. Your real estate license is the lottery ticket. Is a lottery ticket. You make $1 million a year for 10 years is $10 million in income. I guarantee you there's a way we could figure out that you could make $1 million a year. We've shown you how to do it. And I've shown you what to do to keep some of that money and put it into play over the next 7 or 10 years. And you can live for the rest of your life. You can do what others can't do. Isn't that amazing? Do what others won't do for the next 10 years, and you'll do what others can't do for the rest of your life. Fact. I wrote down here, ask yourself where you can use the information you learned. What can you use it for, and who else needs to know it? What else can you use this information for, and who needs to know it? The next thought I wrote down here was discipline. Probably one of the most important things that I can communicate to you and to my children, my grandchildren, is discipline. In my opinion, it is the critical denominator. Discipline will take you out or put you in the game. It'll take you out of the game and put you in the game that fast. I wrote down here for those of you, this year can be our most successful year ever if we're willing to practice more discipline than we have ever done before in our lives. Now, think about this. Have any of us really been that disciplined in our life for a 12-month period of time? No. I mean, really, maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe we did an exercise program for a period of time. Maybe we didn't eat something or we did eat something. Maybe we climbed a mountain or we didn't climb a mountain. Maybe we picked up the weights or we didn't pick up the weights. Maybe we worked on our scripts or we didn't work on our scripts. But it wasn't for 240 work days, was it? Did you do anything for 240 work days? Consist sleep. Good point. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. We're all champions at that. But think about it. If you practiced 1 hour a day for 240 work days, would you be better at anything you practiced? Yes. Hello?
Yes.
Anything. Whether it's a script or a dialogue or hitting the ball or walking up a hill. If you did that, that's what he said. Discipline is about doing what is necessary when it's necessary, whether we feel like it or not. Discipline. What is necessary, when it's necessary, whether we feel like it or not. I think that might be that and consistency. Discipline, consistent discipline are probably the keys. If you will, the golden ticket for this business. I wrote down here, people must be disciplined in 3 areas. They must have disciplined thinking. keeping your mind active, and always think about the right things. Disciplined thinking. I wrote down disciplined emotions. Some of us get emotional and we get off track. Okay? On a good way and a bad way, you know? But disciplined emotions, and then disciplined actions. Action separates the winners from the losers. When people act on what they must do on a regular basis, great things happen. Write that down. Action separates winners from losers. Taking action separates winners from losers. I worry about the future. I think about it all the time. I worry about the business. It's on my mind all the time. But one of the things that I want to make sure is that I leave something, and it's not necessarily money, to my family, my kids. Because what's more important than money that I found is you give knowledge. Okay? You give knowledge and you give example. Okay? And I say this, in life, you're either an example or you're a warning. You're either an example or you're a warning. I want to be an example. I do not want to be a warning to my family. I want to be an example to every one of you. I don't want to be a warning. We know people in this business who are examples and who are also warnings. You know, 2004, 5, and 6, people were using, and 7, were using their homes as ATM machines. Right? House would go up, they'd take money out. House would go up, they'd take money out. House would go up, they'd take money out. And the thing was that they would go buy other houses, and those houses would go up, they'd take money out. They'd go up, they'd take money out. Right? Then what happened? Somebody took the chairs. And the music stopped. And there were no more chairs. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. We could take the money. Wasn't hard. All you had to do is, the lenders at that time, most of the lenders, if you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan. Hey, 50,000. Cool. Okay? Happened all the time. It happened all the time. Disciplined action. Action separates winners from losers. When people act on what they must do on a regular basis, great things happen. So I wrote down here, how do we become more disciplined? So, first thought here, not necessarily in any given order, is by strengthening our work habits. By strengthening our work habits. School teaches us to do homework when it ought to be done. School teaches us. We went to school. We were given homework assignments. All of you did your homework assignments. I didn't. Okay? Let me tell you something. Okay, let's just... This to my grandchildren. My wife had actually posted this. I graduated high school with... it was either 14 or 15 D's through my high school career. My wife wants to know what my mother was thinking.
Yeah, what did your parents say?
He got out of high school. I graduated, and I graduated in 4 years. I wasn't in trouble. I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't. I wasn't robbing or stealing cars or hubcaps or those kinds of things. I wasn't doing that. I just, school for me wasn't the thing. It certainly disciplined school. Now, what was interesting, so disciplined school and education, the way it's set up, wasn't for me. But I didn't know, this is a very interesting story. You see, it wasn't set up for me because I didn't like the have-to classes. reading, writing, arithmetic. You know, you go to college, you have to go through the GEs. The GEs are a couple years of GEs. Did you know there are colleges? I didn't know this. I had no idea. There are colleges where you can write your own curriculum. Brown University. It's where one of my daughters went. I didn't know this. She wrote her own curriculum. She actually ended up writing a class and teaching it. It's a true story. It was like weird. I said, wow, I didn't know it was out there. And there are other schools like that, but Brown, which is an Ivy League school, one of the finest schools in the country, you write your own curriculum. Now, if I'd have known that, things probably would have been different, because I would have been more interested in what was going on. More interested. But it's about the disciplined actions. So how do we become more disciplined? School teaches us to do our homework when it ought to be done, whether we like it or not. So do something necessary but unpleasant every day to train yourself in what's going on here. Does that make sense? On ways to improve your business. I wrote down here, what is working? This is really, really deep, you guys. You probably should write this down, okay? Even if I'm going to send it out to you. On ways to improve your business. What is working? Do more of it.
I like it.
What do you think?
Cool.
It's got something there, right? What's working? Talking to your past client in Sphere? You getting a few leads on that? Great. Do more of it. Okay? You're out doing a little bit of door knocking? You picked up a lead on that. I was talking to somebody earlier today. They said that they were calling their past client in Sphere. They hadn't talked to them in 2, 3, 4 years. And they've just recently been following up on them, kind of at our urging and encouraging and some of our scripts, but certainly not at a giant level, but at an okay level. All of a sudden, they're talking to people and say, hey, we missed you. What's going on? By the way, you know, we're interested in selling our house. We're interested in buying a piece of property. So can you help us? Hello? Could you help them? So if talking to past client in Sphere is working, then talk to what? More of them. I wrote down here, what is not working to expectations? Do less of it. This is very good stuff. Okay? So you got to get this. All right? People say to me all the time, you know, tell me what to do. So I give you advice. Then you look at me like, okay, yeah, that's great advice, but tell me what you'd tell your kids. I'm doing that right now. Okay? This is going into the box for the kids. All right? This is what they're going to get. There's not a separate sheet with, this is a joke, do this over here. Do you guys get that? I'm giving you the stuff. Take it and do something with it. We're not hiding anything here. So, I wrote down here, so what is not working to expectations, do less of it. Okay, so look, if you're working expireds and you're beating yourself up and you're not willing to learn all that you need to do to learn at the highest level, then stop doing it and go work on past client and Sphere. Do you guys get that? If that's working for you. Well, let me tell you something. If you're out there working on expireds, and you haven't memorized all 5 of those scripts, you're never going to get more than a couple of 3 listings a year, maybe, on that, and all you're going to do is be frustrated and mad at me. You know what I'm talking about? So learn the scripts, internalize it, memorize it, preview the property, go see the expireds at the door, and work it, and you'll do 8, 10, 12, 15 transactions from expireds. But if you're not willing to do that, and you're going to do it occasionally, then don't do that to yourself. Am I making sense here? Yes. Maybe to a few of you. I wrote down here, what is not working, stop it. If you're working, I happen to know somebody that last year did 300 hours, their numbers, of expired work. 300 hours of expired work. Took one expired listing. And it didn't sell because it was overpriced. And then when I tell them what to do to get the expireds, which is memorize the scripts, preview the properties, get it, keep it in a tight area, and you'll do fine. They're not willing to do that. Okay, if you're not willing to do this, then don't do it anymore. Does this make sense? Yes. Kids, pay attention. I wrote down here, be adaptable. Write down, be adaptable. Or be versatile. Be adaptable. Be versatile. Be adaptable. Be versatile. Characteristics of people who have adaptability. They are highly teachable. Adaptable people are highly teachable. Okay? Mike Ferry says I'm one of the most adaptable / versatile people he knows. Why? I'm still coaching with this guy every week. I had a coaching call with him again today. Every Monday at 11:30. Every Monday at 11:30, he calls me or I call him. Okay? And sometimes I have to change what I'm doing to shift up to market. To do it, to pay attention to what's going on in the marketplace. He has a certain set of numbers that he asks me. It's always, but there is no calm conversation. Okay? It is not, hey, Neil, how the heck are you, buddy? What are you up to? What'd you guys do for dinner Saturday night? You know, where did you go? What happened? You know, did you go out on the ocean? What do you think of those Dodgers? Those are not the phone calls. You know? What are your hot leads? Who are you talking to? How are you helping your people get to the next level? Who are you pushing? What are you doing? What's going on? What's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? Oh, it's exhausting. And that was at 11:30. Then I get up here. That's why you guys get beat up at noontime. You know, he'd go, bam! So I come here at 11 at noon. I'm with him at 11:30 to 12. Yeah. And at noontime, I go, all right. I can do this. But I've been doing this with this guy for almost 40 years. And sometimes you have to change, and sometimes you have to be versatile. Okay? And if you can't get the expireds on the phone, then go to the door. And if you have to change up, same script, but you have to change up how you do it. Because you can't do it the same way as the phones and the doors. It takes different muscles. It's different face muscles. You have to look a little different. You have to be a little different. Lewis?
How much time should you give each change before you decide to change again?
Depends. Great question. So Lewis's question is, okay, so the market's changing or things are changing or you need to whatever it is, look around. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I mean like if you're doing the expired, changing on the phone, and you're not getting the results of your...
Change now. Right now. Absolutely. See, what happens is sometimes we get vested in an activity. Have you guys ever taken a buyer out and had hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours in the buyer, you know, and all of us, you know you shouldn't be doing this anymore. But what I hear this all the time. You come to me and you ask me, well, when should I cut this buyer out? I hear this all the time. So what's the question? Well, I've got so many hours invested in this buyer. Well, that's the kiss of death right there. I have so many hours invested in this buyer. Well, why would you put one more minute into that buyer? Here's the deal. Do you want to buy a house? Yes. Let's meet Saturday. I have 3 houses to show you. I'm going to ask you to buy one of them. Well, I'm not ready. Oh, why aren't you ready? Let them give you the laundry list. If you like the laundry list, great. If you don't like the laundry list, you know, I'm not going with you. I'm not to talk to you anymore. You see, what we think is the buyers and sellers that we have in front of us are all the buyers and sellers that we have in front of us. We don't see it so much here. But when we were on Valley Boulevard and we were on the second floor on Valley Boulevard, we could kind of see over the houses and into the hills of Diamond Bar. Okay, you guys remember that, those of you that were there? So occasionally, this happened to me, I don't know if it happened to you, occasionally I'd be standing there, I'd be on the phone, or I'd be trying to do something with somebody, and we weren't setting an appointment, and we didn't have any more leads, and we didn't have a great listing week, etc. And you start to think to yourself, am I ever going to list another house or make another sale again? Has that ever? Just like, yeah, this was like 5 minutes ago, right? The same conversation we had last week, right? Am I ever going to list another house again, right? 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 So here's what I do. I used to just look up on the hill. And there were, I don't know, a few thousand houses up on the hill over there. Maybe more, I don't know, 10,000 houses when you look at what's going on in the hill. And I used to say to myself, someone on that hill is going to list or sell a house pretty quickly. Someone. And my job is to do what? Find them. That's my job. I had to go find them. And that's what we need to be focused on. We're going to list and sell more houses. It's going to be fine. If you're worried about what's going on in the marketplace, just run the comps. How many properties got listed for sale today? If you don't have a listing today, okay? If you don't have a listing today, tonight at 5 o'clock, just go to the computer, go to the MLS, and run a report in whatever cities you work and see how many properties got listed today. And how many, then the next question is, how many did you list? But every day, hundreds of properties get listed in our markets. Hundreds. Or hundreds of properties sell, even in markets that are off a little bit. Okay, the market's off a little bit. So instead of being here, it's here. Instead of selling 100,000 homes in the last 12 months, or 6 months rather, in this market, 100,000 homes sold, maybe only 90,000 sold. Okay, the market's down a little bit. All right. But 90,000. Annabelle, how many of the 90,000 would you need this in the last 6 months to have a great year?
How many?
How many?
30, 40?
30. Okay, so you need 30. So, Patty, how many would you need? Another 20?
Yeah.
Okay. Virginia, another 20? Okay, so between the three of you, that's not 100. We had 90,000. Do you guys get my point? You guys would have a fabulous period of time, and that's just these three. We could add 3 more, and 8 more, and 10 more, and 20 more. If we sold our whole company last year did 2,100 sales, 2,100 closed sites. That's a lot. It's a great deal. But it was 90,000, 2,100, 90,000. How many 2,100s in 90,000? Do you get what I'm saying? There's still a lot of opportunity. So you wake up every morning, and if you don't have the hill in front of you, then run the MLS. But we have to be adaptable. We have to be teachable. We have to be able to deal with this. We have to put our mind in the right place. We have to be around like-minded people. You know, I'm sitting here telling you there's 90,000 possibilities, and in our company we did 2,100, and by most standards in our marketplace, that's a damn good company. Okay? Damn good company. And yet, we only did 2,100 of 90,000. And 90,000 was only 6 months. It was actually, the whole year was over 230 or 240,000 opportunities. Okay? But that's a number we can't even comprehend. I'm just talking 90,000. Get it? Huge opportunity. So don't worry about what we lost or we don't have. Let's worry about what's possible out there. That's what I'm talking about. I'll have to send this to the grandchildren later. I'll finish it up now. I wrote down here, do what has to be done, when it has to be done, as well as it has to be done. That's the other part. It's not enough to just do it. You have to do it well. You get it? You need a pre-listing package? We talk about having a pre-listing package to go on a listing appointment. Is it done? Is it created? Does it go out every single time? Is it presentable? If not, get it done today. Get it done today. See the IT department. See Priscilla. We'll help you out with this thing. Get it done today. Don't tell me you don't have a pre-listing package. All right? Don't tell me it's not done. You want to make it a little bit nicer? Make it a little bit nicer. But get something to get out to the client for tomorrow. Because you're going to have a listing appointment tomorrow. See, here's what's going on. Because you don't know the scripts and dialogues at this level, because you don't know how to handle the objection handlers at this level, because you don't have a pre-listing package at this level, you're on the phone calling and somebody kind of gets close to maybe setting the appointment and you're nervous about setting it because you don't have all the other pieces in order. Did you get it? And then sometimes you set it, but they go, oh boy, now what am I going to do? Okay? And then sometimes you don't set it because it slips away from you because you didn't have all the pieces in order. Do what has to be done when it has to be done as well as it has to be done. Remember, when you're not working to improve, your competition is. Your competition is getting better every single day today. I'm telling you guys and gals, okay? If you're not working to get better, if you're not working to improve everything that you've got going, just know your competition is. I wrote down here, always give your best. Practice like a champion. Play like a champion. Live like a champion. And be a champion. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thank you.